Yeah, definitely.
Alright, stand up first.
You already stood up.
So that's something to help with
Okay.
the evaluation. The name of your speech?
Oh, it is the tangible, intangible economy.
Nice.
That's great.
Okay, everybody please welcome Tony.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the last minute.
How
note.
many?
It's 8 minutes. In time, but I think approximately that would be 8 minutes.
All right.
Thank you, guest, for coming, and thank you, members. In today's economy, I briefly mentioned about the intangible economy, and that is what we have right now. We have the Facebook. Just if you look at their asset, they don't have much asset in their buildings, in something tangible, like Google, Microsoft. Do you know that Microsoft's physical asset is only 1% of their entire entire economy or entire asset? But nowadays we have transitioned from the agricultural era. Now we are in the technology era, and we have to accept that. One brief example, back in the 11th century in England, Prince William had this, how he count his asset was in the entire, I believe, England, but he has 60 pigs and certain number of slaves, I believe it's 20 slaves, and they count those as their asset, and he came out with 11 million pounds of asset. That was back in 11th century. Imagine having that now. Well, in 1970s, if you go to Food Lion, Kroger's, Wegman, or Lidl, who shops at Lidl?
I know, but I've heard good things.
Yes, and some of the things that they have is still in existence, like the cooler, the refrigerator, the aisle, the banners, the signs. What really took off was the intangible. In 1980s or late 1970s, when the existence of barcode, which is intangible, skyrocketed the assets of the supermarkets, and so much more with the online grocery shopping. Branding is a great intangible asset. Now, where would you rather shop if you have Wegmans name in there? Cheap, but that you have the Wegmans brand, but so you would choose that rather than, I won't mention the name, but offend people who shops at Food Lion. I do, but they've gotten better, and that's their asset, enhancing their brand using the barcode. Have you noticed how they don't have coupon-less, where you scan your card, your phone, and you don't need a physical coupon, and it's just automatically, it continues to happen. And if you're not in there, you will be left behind as a realtor, as a promotional product. That's why we've created an intangible promotional product, such as software. As an accountant, as a lawyer, you have those online, and especially your brand, your name is actually a great example of an intangible asset. We cannot touch those intangible assets. As I've mentioned, actually in 2006, 1% of Microsoft's asset was just the building. The rest are intangible, believe it or not. They have Microsoft Office and all that now with Skype and LinkedIn. They carry that brand. So in 1990s, all this intangible asset have surged in Europe, in Sweden, in Finland, and America actually catch on with our being the head of technology. But Italy and Spain, not so much. One example was how we transitioned back in the days when we have an idea, such as the water mills. After so much using the water mills for our energy, a tangible asset, it developed to an engine shift where people now start using engine. So this transition from a tangible to intangible, it's kind of like that. So another example is Starbucks. Their coffee machine is their tangible asset, but it's not. More than 50% of their asset is actually intangible, their brand name. You know, when you carry that cup logo with Starbucks, by the way, who's veteran got a free cup of Starbucks yesterday, but I missed those freebies. Anyway, intangible have no limits, like their coffee machine. You know, once their espresso machine back 10 years ago, imagine how many coffee machines they already spent trying to develop the latest technology where it's faster. So those assets is actually not good investment because things develop. What actually enhance the business nowadays are the intangible asset. Whether you're in photography business, if you don't have an online presence, it will affect your bottom line, your brand. Because if you have a good brand, you can raise your fees, and that becomes your asset. A lot of the businesses nowadays, they count their asset, how many likes they have, how many followers in their social media, and they can sell that page into millions, multi-million dollars. It's hard to enumerate, but there's so many. This has started back in, I didn't catch the time, but who have played Angry Birds one time? Angry Birds. This is an idea, an intangible asset where their asset raised up to $3 billion, which was later on they sold this idea of just playing online. And they don't have much physical asset. All they have is this idea. And it raised up to $3 billion of asset. And a lot of this almost costs zero cost. Anyone can go into their phone and create this asset, creating your brand. And as a promotional product entrepreneur, I have accumulated over 50 new softwares that can actually bring all this together to enhance your asset as a mother who wants to become a business, just using your asset as a mom. You know, blog and later on maybe earn you. There are mothers there that's earning millions of dollars just facing at the YouTube page and doing some talk and stuff. So this is our economy, believe it or not. You know, we're gone with the days with the agricultural economy, with the tangible assets carrying. And the problem is banks doesn't really have a good way of assessing the value. So it's very hard to get a loan if you have an idea or to actually sell your asset because those are intangible. But there is always what they call in the new term in the business called spillover. So if you have created this idea of, let's say, there's one example was microwave was invented by accident, right? It was actually invented when this nuclear from Raytheon doing this thing and accidentally cooked their hot dog and said, oh, it can actually cook. And so they didn't bother to enhance that, but Amana, you know, those dishwashing machine, bought that idea and enhanced. In 1970s, there's 40,000 who started using microwave. Now, a million a year buys a new microwave. So this is a thing with this asset. So if you think your idea didn't take off, it will spill over to a new idea after idea. You know, like Google was not the original search engine, it was Yahoo or whatever, but it spilled over and they took that idea. Another disadvantage of this intangible asset is people can steal your idea. You have this bright idea and people will enhance that, and look, well, that's what happened to Facebook. Facebook is not the original social media, so is Microsoft. It's not the original Office idea software. So I suggest that you think this over as a business owner, most of us here, and we are what we call a synergy economy. Take for instance Uber. Uber have this idea. In fact, they have there are again another economy whose asset is not the taxis of how many automobile. It's just an app, for crying out loud. And now they have billions of dollars of asset, besides the lawsuits that they have. But they have to. So those. But the key here. To enhance this economy of intangible is adult education. We all should be a programmer. We need to, but we have easy access with software that can do all this for you. You don't need to know codings. You don't need to do, but just get hold of one software and try to develop that idea around it and sell that idea, and becomes your intangible asset. And maybe one of these days, one of you will be a billionaire. So thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Very interesting speech on intangibles.
Who's critiquing me? Okay.
Andrew's
Yeah.
advocating
Please
it.
be hard on me, and
I totally, I really
but be
see-
easy here too.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Talk to me on the sides. Don't embarrass me. I'm just kidding.
It was a good speech, very thought-provoking, I thought.